Hello everyone, it's me again. Let's do one more episode of Reflections on the Road, and this time I'm going to talk about storytelling. So what is the importance of telling stories? And this is something that I get a lot from parents, especially families who have kids enrolled at a bilingual school or a school with a bilingual program, and sometimes, especially with the pandemic, when they are watching the classes, they don't know exactly why teachers are telling stories and they're reading big books in the classroom. And it doesn't matter how much you tell them, they don't buy it. They don't think that storytelling is important. But it has a lot to do with how our brains evolved and the oral tradition. So if you look at some of the archaeological records that we have, we know that our written systems, the first time that humans wrote something was actually quite recent. So it goes back to the agricultural revolution. So it was probably around 6 to 10,000 years ago. But we have lots of evidence to support the claim that we had actually begun speaking possibly 2, even 400,000 years before that. So if we had started talking many, many years before we were actually able to write, that means that all of the cultural features, all of our historical records and the traditions and rituals that we passed along from generation to generation were kept alive because we were able to speak things, not record by writing. Of course, there were cave paintings in some locations on the planet. The Lascaux paintings in France, for example. But still, most of what we kept in terms of culture came from speaking. And we are probably not exaggerating when we say that has a lot to do with storytelling and mythology. Because think of it, many people, villagers, many thousands of years ago, they would gather around a bonfire and talk about their wishes, their, stories, what they were able to hunt, what they were thinking about the future, how they explained the universe. So it was all about storytelling. And storytelling is such an important feature of human capacity that I think it should be more explored in the classroom. We not only have to tell stories to our kids in the classroom, but we have to get them to tell stories as well. Because this is how they start wondering about the universe and understanding the world and assigning meaning to different things, to objects, to things that they can see in the nature. So if you think about it, storytelling is really one of the bases of modern civilization. This is something, again, I was talking about grammar, and storytelling is really something that differentiates us from other animals. We can keep things and situations and circumstances alive through stories. We can create different characters and deities like gods, for example, to explain why certain things are a certain way. And we can pass it on from generation to generation, even how you can build tools. So you can, for instance, there's quite a lot of evidence to support the idea that Homo erectus started speaking before any other hominid. So they were the first men, or primates, let's say, to speak. And their incredible success conquering different parts of the planet probably tells us that they were able to pass information very effectively to other generations. So they were able to, leave the corners of Africa and get even to Indonesia, for example, thousands of miles away. And if they didn't have a system to communicate effectively, to build tools, even boats, for example, they wouldn't have survived. So that means that it was probably embedded in their culture. So they had to be able to pass that information forward so that others could go further and further and further. And they lived on the planet for longer than any other primate. Any other hominid, like the Homos genus, right? So if you think about it, there has to be something connected. It has to be something related to how we envision the world, to how we tell stories. And that's why, and we should tell parents that, when you see teachers in the classroom telling stories, they're just doing what we've been doing for possibly 500,000 years, you know? We have been telling stories and passing forward information.
In 150 meters, slide right onto
BR
153.
GPS. I'm sorry about that, but you know, it happens.
Continue on BR 153 for 1.5
let's
kilometers.
wait for the GPS to, be over. That's it. And then that's it. I just wanted to say that telling stories is really what we should be doing more often, especially for kids in the kindergarten, because that's how we learn, how we kept language alive for possibly hundreds of thousands of years, if not even millions of years, right?